Good morning, DBS family. Welcome to your Wednesday edition of DBS This Morning. But you know how we say that Wednesday is usually the middle of the week? Well, for all our hardworking people out there, everybody on a 9 to 5, it's actually a shorter week because we observe Good Friday at the end of this week. And Easter Monday is coming up as well. So you have a long weekend ahead. And of course, we are going to be engaging in all the Easter festivities, including watching DBS's Easter around the world. So, much like yourself, I am certainly looking forward to that. For right now, we're kicking things off right here on DBS This Morning with our morning news highlights. So, let's check out the latest from our news team. Thank you so much to our dedicated news team for keeping us so well informed about what is happening here in St. Lucia. With that, we are ready to head on to the rest of the show, but first, we are taking a quick commercial break, so stay with us because we will be right back. Welcome back, DBS family. Right now, we are with a woman who I believe needs no introduction. They say knowledge is power, and I feel like Margot Thomas is the guardian of information for St. Lucia. I think that's a worthy title. We're going to have to think about getting that official. How are you doing this morning, Margot?
Oh, I am fine, Jacka. It's a wonderful morning.
Absolutely. And you know, Easter is in the air. And looking at Easter in the modern day, I feel like there is so much that used to be going on in St. Lucia that may not even be taking place anymore. Even just compared to when I was a tiny tot, what I knew as Easter, it's very different today. And thankfully, we had the right link to tap into that knowledge about what Easter was like in St. Lucia and how Easter has become what it is today. So, Margot, from my novice point of view, I want to ask you, what was Easter in St. Lucia?
I grew up in the 1960s, Jacka, and Easter was always a time of festivity. As you know, it is a Christian season. I'm calling it a season because Easter would start with Lent. And as children growing up, we were not supposed to eat any meat or any dairy products. We would eat fish. And it was a time we looked forward to because we would have Easter vacation. Some of the things we did as children, and they are still with me, we would go to a gentleman who had his shop on Brazil Street, and they used to call him Reggie. And we would buy all these different colored crepe paper for us to make kites. Girls like boys, we would go and look for coconut sticks, and we would look for thread, and we would make kites, and we would try to outdo each other in competition. And around that time, there was a toy that was called the Wawa. And it was called that because of the sound that it made. It was a wooden toy, but for those who could not afford to buy the original wooden toy, there were the cheaper version that they would make with matchboxes and horse hair. Because in those days, there were a lot of horses around. Yes. And every child looked forward to having a Wawa. Apart from that, there was a game that the bigger people would play, the bigger boys and girls growing up in Soufrière, and it was a board game called Roll and Tumble. Now, parents didn't want their children to play that game because it was seen as if it was gambling, because they would bet on numbers and they would use dice, and so it was a festive time. And we must not forget the foods. There was a particular food I looked forward to. It was a vegetable. It looked something like a potato, but it had a wrinkled skin. It's actually something called People called it topi tabu, but the English name for it is Jerusalem artichoke. Jerusalem artichoke, and it has such a savory taste, you know. In color, it's like a ginger, and it was shaped like a potato. It's such a quaint, but we're not seeing this vegetable around anymore. Women would boil it, and you would buy it hot, and they would ply it. Coming up to Castries, we'd go to the jetty in Soufrière, and there would be all these women selling the Jerusalem artichoke, but people called it topi tabu. Did you know about it?
I did not, and I'm getting a whole history lesson right now because I don't think I ever got the experience to make a wawa. I feel like my Lucian card is going to be revoked.
Yes, so the food, and then there would be something. It's like a gingerbread, the penny piece. They
Oh,
call it
yes.
penny piece. From what I understand, it was penny a piece, and then the name was contracted into penny piece. And we would also have something called lababad, that
I
was
know
made
that
with
one.
coconut, coupe, you know, and the squash with a lot of banana essence, So, but it was a time for children. There would be the Easter hunt for treasure hunt, and for the women there would be the Easter parade, Easter bonnet parade with the hats. You see, I even have my little fascinator, you know. That's going back to the day. Yes. So it was really a nice time. The weather would be nice, and we'd be making our kites, flying kites. We were children then. Nowadays, the children are more hooked on the video games and things like that. Well, I guess it's modern technology. We have to move with the times, but we can always reminisce about what it was like growing up. And I must say, I had a wonderful youth. It was so interesting. And as a tiny tot, my uncle brought me to join the library. I was about 6 years, and then from that time I would come and sit in the library, and I would read Monday Adventure, Tuesday Adventure. I'd read the Enid Blytons and the Nancy Drews, the Hardy Boys, the Bobbsey Twins. I mean, it is so good to reminisce about those days.
I think Margot is definitely one of my favorite contacts in terms of when I want to reminisce and I want to look at what history has been in St. Lucia. And like you rightfully said, the children these days are more into the video games and watching the movies. I mean, there's a lot of kids today who may not know about Cope Lape, but they will know about the Easter Bunny. They'll know about all the Disney movies about the Easter Bunny and everything like that. But I feel like we need to put a bit more, effort, a bit more push on the children to get them to understand what Easter really is. And maybe one day we're going to see that kind of energy that you used to see as a child and that I used to see as a child reborn. The kite festivals coming back and all these great things. And I mean, I guess COVID would have had an impact on that as well. But we're gonna have to bring the kites back. Maybe we'll have to come to you so you could give me a lesson in how to make the wawa.
Well, I may help you, but then the thing is, we must think of all these old traditional things. We used to make the boats. We used to make boats with paper, and we used to decorate them, and we would put them to sail in a bathtub. It was time where we used our minds creatively, and I would like to see this continue, so that the children, as they grow up, they may not depend only on the modern technology, but look at what we had before and see how you could marry the two, how you could marry modern technology with the old technology we had before.
I think back in the day for me, one of my biggest concerns as a child was not being able to find my crayons. But these days, it's if the Wi-Fi goes off or if you don't have power to charge your tablet. But it's definitely a different time. So if you could issue a call to the parents, the grandparents, the older siblings out there to take charge of Easter this year and introduce the kids to some of these older Easter fashion, what would you say?
The thing is, unfortunately, most of the parents are very young. They are very, very young. So many of them would not even perhaps identify with what I'm talking about. But I would like them to read to their children. If at least we could go back to reading and to find out how Easter was in other civilizations, in other cultures, and try to develop what we have so we could build on it, that would be great.
Right, that is a call to action. You heard it here, straight from the mouth of Miss Margot Thomas herself. Thank you so much for speaking with us. Welcome back, DBS family. Right now, we are coming to you from Alias Process, notably one of my favorite places in the city of Castries. And we are here with Davina Lee because we got invited to the launch of Seneca
Yes.
today, and there are big things coming up throughout the year 2022. But before we can get into that, Davina, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of work that went into the background. So, how does it feel today to finally have the launch happen?
It feels really good, and it feels really good to be able to present to St. Lucia what exactly is coming up for this project. Yes.
All right, so I'm sure the people are wondering. I mean, I already got the information since we got to sit in for the launch, but I'm sure the people are wondering what exactly took place today. So, could you fill us in?
Okay. Sinuca is really all-encompassing. It's a project that will support the film industry in the region. So it's a collaboration between our French partners and English partners. The main part of the project is a film digital library. So all film created from, I guess you can say from Haiti in the north to French Guyana in the south, we want to be able to have those films, even if it's 40 years old, be able to be accessed to persons doing research, persons wanting to see what has been produced in the region forever. So even people producing now will be able to have their films in this library where people can have access to. You know, it's not just about entertainment, but it's also about our history and our culture as well. So that's one aspect. That's the main aspect. The other aspect is workshops. So we want to be able to develop film professionals in the region. So from learning to write scripts properly to being able to direct, being able to edit, all of that is part of the project. And the final aspect is screening. So we're going to be having film festivals throughout the region, and St. Lucia will be one of the locations for that.
All right. I mean, I know you mentioned it would definitely be very important to our history, and I could only imagine students who may not be too attentive in history class would definitely pay attention if these films were able if teachers were able to introduce these films in the classroom through the database that you're offering. And I know that one of the challenges that we've had is that with the digital transformation, a lot of schools don't have access to tape players or DVD players. Everything has to be over on the internet. So with this project, are you saying that things would be accessible through these modern day means?
Everything will be accessible online. And another very important reason for something like this, look at what happened with FRC and the fire that destroyed so much that we don't know if it was stored somewhere else could be recovered. This is an attempt to mitigate things like that, so that if we have our films in a specific online location that can be accessed from anywhere in the world, not that we don't worry, but at least we have backup. So that's one of the really important reasons for this project.
I think somebody we will definitely have to touch base with after this conversation is Margot Thomas from the archives, because I'm sure she would be elated to see something like this taking place and really immortalizing our film culture in the Caribbean.
Yes, definitely.
All right, so I know you mentioned workshops as well, directed at young aspiring filmmakers in St. Lucia. So what will those workshops really entail, and when should we look out for them?
Okay, within like I think you heard Patricia say, within the next 3 months, we should be starting, and the workshops will be happening both online and in person because we're still doing like this sort of hybrid thing. Okay, so the workshops, we're going to be putting out a call for proposals to persons interested, and the workshops will happen at different places in the region, so not just in St. Lucia. And also, one of the main aspects of the workshops is trying to get film professionals from across the region to work with each other. So we can have somebody from Guadeloupe working with somebody from St. Lucia and building teams like multi-island teams, not just St. Lucian filmmakers, because someone might be more, have access to certain locations and ideas, somebody in Martinique working with somebody from St. Lucia, and so on. So I think it's very exciting. It's a way to bring filmmakers together. It's a way to have professionals work with each other in the region and to build up this network of film professionals.
I think that's wonderful, and it definitely speaks to the fact that the Caribbean is one big family. I mean, the islands aren't even so far away from each other. Over the last few years, we've seen people even swimming between the islands. So the borders are really just in our minds, and with the digital era, we can break through them, and we can definitely work together.
Yeah, and it's an opportunity to really work with our French partners because they're so close to us, and sometimes we almost forget they're our neighbors, right? So it's a very good opportunity to work with our French neighbors, Guadeloupe, Martinique, French Guyana.
All right, well, we will definitely be following the project, but for anybody else who would like to keep up to date with what's happening, are there any social media handles they could look out for or websites?
Well, I guess you can put on the screen, we'll give you the information. It's Sinuka. Sinuka, we are on Instagram and on Facebook. You'll be able to get that information there. Also, you can contact me, Davina. Yeah. Okay.
All right, thank you so much, Davina. DBS family, we have the information up on the screen for you right now. You know, Javon always has our back. And we are checking out right now from Alias Process. Keep it locked, you're watching DBS.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this morning's Soca Size session. Leading the wine, we have Sarah, Laurie, and Shani. Let's get ready to sweat with Soca Size. For this morning's workout, we will be doing a cardio Soca Jam routine to Do Play That by Marshall Montano. Let's get moving. So we're going to begin with our right leg, toe, tapping, hands side to side. 4, 3, 2, 1, and
when you come out proper, girl, you're looking good. I like your structure when
4,
you dance up on this
3,
When
2,
you come up on this
1, pump the arms, pump. We're moving the core as well.
If you're whining, wine back on me properly, don't play that,
4, 3, 2, now we're gonna shuffle, push, move those legs, turn, turn, turn. Gonna tap, tap, and pull. Tap. 4, 3, 2, left leg. Let's go. And my low impact, you can skip the jump and just tap the leg. 4, 3, 2, pump, and 4, 3, 2, shuffle, push, turn, 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 pull, and 4, 3, 2, 1, tap. 4, 3, 1, pump. 8. Push. Turn. 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 Left leg. Tap. 4, 3, 2, 1, pump. 4, 3, 2, 1, push. Turn. 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 That was this morning's session. Thank you for choosing to flaunt with Soca Size. We hope that you're feeling sexy, sultry, and strong.
All right, DBS family, that is a wrap for today's show, and it's your invitation to go start off your day. I mean, the weekend is coming along a lot sooner than it usually does. One day is a big deal for everybody who usually has a very, very long week. So I'm so excited that you will have some extra time to rest this weekend if you'd like to use it in that way. I will see you all tomorrow for us to tie up the rest of the week. But for now, go and have yourself a wonderful day.